Hey guys, it's Mike. In tonight's video, I bring to you ghost stories. All content is credited to thoughtcatalog.com. Let's begin the video. Story number 1, Crescent Hotel, Eureka Springs, Arkansas. The Crescent Hotel is considered to be America's most haunted hotel, based on the story of Norman Baker, a medical fraud who bought the hotel and turned it into a hospital to treat patients after he claimed to have had the cure to cancer. When his patients died under his care, he buried their bodies in the basement as a makeshift morgue. The spirit of every patient he killed still roams the halls of this haunted hotel to this day. In fact, paranormal investigators from the Ghost Adventures show went to the basement morgue and witnessed something, or someone, move. One hotel manager claimed that he had discovered a portal to the other side for those who are on the same frequency. Another manager who ran the nightly ghost tours said that the guests would grow faint and pass out in the same exact location. Upon investigation, this spot was where the portal was located, which was also directly above the basement morgue. Story number 2, The House of Death, Greenwich Village, New York. The house is considered to be New York City's most haunted building, seeing that there are around 22 ghosts who have been spotted roaming the halls. Writer Mark Twain lived here from 1900 to 1901, claiming to have experienced supernatural incidents like a wood paneling moving in midair. His ghost has been seen walking down the stairs, and in 1937 a mother and daughter bumped into his ghost perched on a window seat. This was the site of a number of incidents, including a murder-suicide and the beating death of a 6-year-old. In 1957, a famous actress and psychic, Jan Bryant Bartel, felt a monstrous moving shadow follow her around the home. She saw a man standing in the hallway, and when she reached out to touch it, she felt a substance without substance, chilly, damp, diaphanous as March mist or a cloud of ether. I could feel my fingers freeze at the tips. They were numb, and yet they tingled. In the split second between contact and recoil, the scent came, fragile and languorous and sweet, unbearably, cloyingly sweet. Story number 3, The Dakota, New York City. This late 19th century building is an expensive and quite haunted apartment building in Manhattan, New York. Located in Central Park West, this building had a role in the horror classic Rosemary's Baby and is also the site where John Lennon was killed. John Lennon was assassinated by a crazed fan while on the steps of the Dakota in 1980. It has been said that his apparition lingers near the stairs, leaning up against the wall in his white suit. His wife, Yoko Ono, still lives here and says she once saw his ghost sitting at the piano. He also had told her, "Do not be afraid, I am still with you." Before he died, Lennon claimed to have seen a crying lady ghost roaming the halls. Workers and residents of this building have witnessed rugs and large pieces of furniture being moved, an adult man with the face of a small boy, and a friendly little girl waving through the window. Story number 4, Dead Woman's Crossing, Weatherford, Oklahoma. In the early 1990s, Katie DeWitt James left her home with her baby Lulu after filing for divorce from her husband, who was abusive. She had plans to move in with her cousin, but instead moved in with a local prostitute, Franny Norton, in Weatherford, Oklahoma. Katie was last seen leaving the house with her baby and Franny, however none of them returned. Katie was missing and Franny had taken Lulu to a farm and left her there. After Franny was caught, taken into custody, and questioned by police, she poisoned herself. A month later in Deer Creek, a fully clothed skeleton was found, along with the skull 3 feet away with a bullet in it and the caliber gun sitting nearby. It was concluded that Franny had killed Katie the month prior. People have heard a woman looking for her baby and the sound of rolling wheels, and have seen Katie appearing as blue light. Number 5, Eastern State Penitentiary, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The Philadelphia-based prison took solitary confinement to a whole new level. Everything the prisoners did, they did alone, eating, living, and exercising. Guards would even cover their heads when they left their cells so they wouldn't see or be seen. There were around 300 prisoners in solitary, receiving such harsh punishment, being dunked in an ice water bath and then hung on a wall in the middle of winter until ice formed on their skin. The mad chair that cut off circulation, the iron gag, and the hole. This was apparently to help criminals find penance, remorse, and salvation. In reality, it drove many prisoners insane. The prison has a number of ghosts haunting the grounds. Chicago gangster Al Capone, who served 8 months here, Warden Herbert Hardboiled Smith, 2 guards who were murdered, and hundreds of inmates were either murdered or had died from disease and age. Cell Block 12 has voices and crackling. Cell block 4 has the silhouette of a guard in the tower, footsteps, wailing, and whispers. Sometime in the 90s, nearly 20 years after the prison closed down, a locksmith had entered cell block 4 and felt someone gripping him so tightly he couldn't move. Dozens of paranormal investigators and researchers have visited and left with belief that this is a hub of otherworldly activity, often referred to as a prison of horrors. This is also considered to be one of the most haunted places in America. Night and day, tours are offered if one wants to see the crumbling dark cells and the long, narrow hallways leading to death row. Story number 6, House of the Seven Gables, Salem, Massachusetts. Salem, Massachusetts is legendary for its history of the witch trials and other spooky entities. The Turner Ingersoll mansion is known as the House of Seven Gables, and it has had a number of ghostly reports. Because the house is now a museum quite popular around Halloween, visitors have seen some spooky, unsettling things. A man climbing up and down the secret staircase, a little boy who giggles and runs around the attic, and even Susanna Ingersoll, the cousin of Nathaniel Hawthorne and the author of the novel The House of the Seven Gables. One visitor heard a woman's voice in his ear whispering, "Shh," and when he turned around expecting to see his girlfriend, no one was there. Story number 7, the Jean Harlow House, Los Angeles, California. This Beverly Hills home has some unexpected, gruesome, dark history. In 1932, famous actress Jean Harlow and her abusive husband Paul Byrne lived in here, shortly before Paul shot himself while standing in front of the mirror. Jean moved out and died a few years later. Then in 1963, celebrity hairstylist Jay Sebring and a famous actress Sharon Tate moved in, and they lived in there together until she left him for Roman Polanski. When they lived in the house, however, Tate witnessed seeing a creepy little man who resembled Byrne. When she fled the room and ran downstairs in fear, she then had a vision of an entity tied to the railing and with its throat slashed. A few years later, both Jay Sebring and Sharon Tate were murdered by members of the Charles Manson cult. Freakishly enough, the house they were murdered in was only 2 miles away from the house they had once lived in. Anyways, guys, this has been 7 real ghost stories that I brought to you firsthand here. Thanks for listening and watching. Stay tuned for more content to come. And as always, cheers and chow. Peace, everyone. Be easy.